What's up, everybody? Coach JR from Believe Elite Athletic Training here with Ryan Rodriguez on this beautiful Thursday morning, one of the last Thursdays in April. And I have an awesome, I'm an acronym guy. I just love acronyms for whatever reason, like Believe Elite Athletic Training, BEAT. I just always kind of like simplifying it down, and I just like stuff that kind of like punches you in the face. So, win the day.
Yep.
W-I-N. I stumbled across that phrase in the Champion's Mind book. Unbelievable book. You guys should all be reading that. That's one of the number one books that I always recommend for athletes. It is an awesome read, and this is a great time to read it because you don't have a lot of anything else going on. So, when I stumbled across Win the Day in that book, it was Pete Carroll, and I think he was at
USC?
Yeah, he was at USC coaching, and he basically got his whole football program to buy into that phrase, and that was their power phrase of the year. So preseason, off-season, win the day, win the day, win the day. And I thought that was cool. I liked the win the day. Then I stumbled across this most recent book that I'm reading, and this coach that I'm listening to and studying, and he said WIN is an acronym for what's important now. And I thought that was awesome because it does coincide with win the day, but it makes you question yourself, like, is this important right now in the present? So our last podcast, we talked about being in the present, but I like the idea of winning the present, winning the moment. So again, from a competition standpoint, you've obviously won some tournaments.
Yep.
So let's just say you're on the 18th green. Mm-hmm. What are some thoughts in your head, like, and good? Let's do good and bad. Like, give me the best memory you have of using this. Like, what's important now? Obviously, making that putt.
Yeah.
So I want to hear the inside voice of Ryan Rodriguez on the 18th green, and you already know you won, right? Because we're kind of reminiscing.
Yeah.
So I want to hear what you said to yourself, like, while you were about to hit that ball, while you were about to putt that.
Okay. So last tournament that I won is probably the most fresh in my memories. I won Navy's tournament in Maryland.
Okay.
Annapolis, Maryland.
Got it.
Not Indianapolis.
Yeah.
But so actually, I went into the final round with the lead and proceeded to give that completely away as the day progressed. And I found myself in a place after 9 holes, 4 shots out of the lead, and honestly, almost out of the tournament, which kind of took some stress off me because I had not really had my best stuff at the moment, and I was just kind of, playing so many mental games like stay in the present, all these things that you tell yourself. And once I realized, like, it was sort of slipping away, that's kind of where I let some slack go on the rope, per se.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, that's sort of when things started coming back together.
Less pressure, less stress.
A lot less pressure, a lot less useless thoughts swinging around my brain. So I ended up making a huge putt on 17, and then also making a huge putt on 18 and up and down in the bunker, and to force a playoff. So now I find myself in a position where I was going to win the tournament, to I was out of the tournament, to, okay, I'm going to win the tournament again. So we end up taking a 40-minute break to do all the scorecard stuff and have to come out and do a playoff hole. So that's sort of where, my mind started getting really active again. And I'm playing one-on-one. Usually you're playing the golf course, but in this situation, I need to beat the guy in front of me. So I'm playing one-on-one at this point. So this is where I'm hearing, like, I'm really, my thing is, yeah, I do get bad thoughts, but my tendency is to try to control the situation in the sense where I'm telling myself, like, really barking orders at myself. Stay in the present. Make sure you're breathing. Walk with your chest up, chin up, like, slow down your tempo. All these things. I'm just telling myself, like, inundating myself with just so much information. eventually, I hit a couple of good shots, and I have a 5-foot putt to win the event. And that's sort of where you get the real nerves. And your heart is beating so much that you could hear it in your own ears. And I kind of just, over the last putt, or while I was doing my routine, while I was walking around and reading the putt, I kind of told myself, like, very short and brief way, and probably less poetic way than I'm going to say it now, whether you make this putt or not, it really doesn't matter. Like, overall, the experience of today, thinking you're going to win, to thinking you're going to lose, to thinking you're going to win again, and you experiencing, the ups and downs and all that you went through to get to this point, like, that was the hard part. Whether this putt goes in or not, that's good and that's great, but the fun part was sort of the up and down and really weaving through all the different distractions and stuff that I had to face to get to this point. I ended up making the putt and I ended up winning, but honestly, to be completely honest with you, the win was exciting for maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes, but what I look back on now is sort of the story I just told you, and thinking about all the fun memories that it was, to get to that point, and rather than the actual moment or the putt. So I guess in very short fashion, what I'm trying to say is, you just, the end result isn't like all as glamorous as the process that it took to get to that point.
So that is, there's a bunch of stuff I could say to that.
Yeah.
One, those of you listening, especially if you are a Believe athlete, you just listened to a very rare breed of athlete talk to you about coping. That, I never heard that story before. So I thought you were going to be like, yeah, I just won the tournament, 18 holes, all good. I didn't realize, like, you had the lead, you lost it, you had a 40-minute break in between. Like, that's nuts. And to really understand this, and again, this is why we talk about this, because that's exactly what I need people to hear. Like, it is not easy at all. And you could have easily just been like, I'm out. I'm going to go eat.
Yeah.
Like, I'm done with this tournament. Shit. I had the lead. I was killing it. And then you just beat yourself up for you're in Maryland, right? So how long of a drive back is that to Binghamton?
5.
Yeah. So you're beating yourself up the whole entire ride back, which we all know what that feels like, especially if your parents come to a game or something. Yeah.
They were there.
So, I remember having my parents after basketball games driving home, like, analyzing my performance. And I was like, game's over, So the situation basically that you just put us through was a roller coaster of a tournament, and your response mentally won you the tournament. And what you actually said as far as, like, getting the win and your 30-minute, like, tap yourself on the back, like, happy place.
Yeah.
It's funny you said that because, and again, you're obviously now at an elite level where professional golf is the next step. You just finished up your Division I career. You've won some great tournaments. You made your name known in the Big Sky Conference, graduating from Binghamton, full scholarship athlete. So you did a lot that, let's face it, majority of athletes don't do that,
Yep.
I think they say, 2% of high school athletes go on to play in college. I don't know what, out of that 2%, how many of those are Division I level.
Yeah.
And now you're trying to take it to that, literally the 1%, which is getting paid to play a professional sport. So I think with where your head is at, and I do believe in you, I think you will get to that point, especially when life gets back to normal stuff and you can get out on the courses. But your response in 30 minutes, and I was like, yeah, cool, but your reaction to how the tournament went,
yeah,
and seeing I can come back anytime, knowing that I have the control in just about every situation, every course. It doesn't matter about my competition. That's really what makes you unique and elite, because you're never doubting yourself.
Yeah.
I've been to a lot of sports events for some of our athletes, and I've watched athletes completely shut it out, like lose and then they're done for the day. And it's like,
I watched
yo,
myself do that.
what just happened? Like, and then I sit back as a coach and I'm like, yo, we just spent like 8 months training for this. Like, this moment in time, that jump, that match, that pitching outing, that swing, like, it comes down to, and I had one of my athletes basically tell me this: nerves, and self-doubt, and the wrong self-talk. And go back to what we just started this whole conversation with. What's important now? What's important in that moment? And for you, it was really just self-belief and saying, like, I got this. I'll do it.
Yeah, and I only got to that point through experience, and unfortunately through a lot of banging my head against the wall and negative experience. And it's honestly something I still fight with right now.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, man.
No, it is. And you know what the thing is too, is everybody fights it for sure. And there's so many athletes at the top of their game that this is something that a lot of top tier athletes, they have mental coaches.
Yeah.
They have coaches that literally will get on a phone call with them. And I wish I was doing this. I really do. I just started doing mental performance coaching, and I'm doing a trial group right now. And I got to be honest with you, I did it with 6 athletes over the past like 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
And I actually selected a few athletes that had their seasons like completely stripped away.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to hear their reactions, and I honestly felt that like they needed someone to talk to the most. Not saying my other athletes didn't, but I wanted to focus on them. So I picked a unique group of guys that, you know, I knew they were mature. So when I started asking them questions and I got on FaceTime calls with them, I just realized, like, man, if you had a mental performance coach, like once a week, like 30 minutes to an hour, where you could just kind of like let it out.
Yeah.
They're not judging you.
No.
They're just giving you like positive feedback and like tips. You know, like for instance, one guy I gave a tip was, hey, why don't you start your morning with like a motivational video?
Yeah.
You know, that might give you a little bit more like pep in your step to get out of bed. You can listen to a motivational video while you're laying in bed.
I think something I've learned that's really important for any athlete listening to learn is your skills in whatever sport you play are going to take you but so far. Like, say if we're talking golf,
Yep.
you know, your swing at the end of the day is your swing. It's not going to change. It's not going to improve at a certain point. Maybe, you know, micro increments like here and there, but what's going to take you to that next level is adding all the pieces together, and most importantly, mental game. And, you know, if you're an athlete right now and all your training is physical, you're not worrying about the mental game or the nutritional aspects or, you know, mobility and stuff. If you're not putting all the pieces together, you know, I strongly recommend that you go out and you do that, because as you get up the chain of competition and as that margin of, you know, competition gets smaller, you begin to meet more people that have it all put together.
100%, dude. 100%. And that's like, that's real, you know? And if you don't believe us, I'll give you an example. Majority of high school football teams lift weights in their weight room at school, like have to, right? You take like the kickers and the quarterbacks. Those are the high pressure guys, you know? I've been able to train guys in both those positions. And mentally, they're different than the running back. They're different than the wide receiver, because they get a moment in a game to basically win it, whether it's a touchdown pass or it's a 50-yard field goal, whatever it is. And when I coach those guys, they were in the weight room the same amount of time as their teammates. They were doing the same practices for the most part, being at practice. But one kid in particular, the kicker, I know that he was working on his mentality. And I remember his senior year, he hit a game-winning field goal. And again, it's like nobody else on that field has that pressure. And you're either ready for it or you're not. And you had it on the course. And elite level athletes have it. Like Tom Brady wants the ball with 60 seconds left on the clock. Like, he's not afraid of that, you know? And everything you just said, the fine details, your abilities will get you to a point, and then the nitty-gritty, the things that we can work on right now will get you to a whole nother level.
Yeah, and if your mentality or your mental game is not as good as it can be right now, it's just like a physical. Like, if you're not in the best shape, you can always get in better shape.
Yeah.
With the mental game, if you begin to start, you could start easy. You could start with books. You could start with podcasts, and you can level up by taking your mindset training class, going to see a sports psychologist, whatever you have to do. But put the time in the mental game. It's an absolute must. You can see. I mean, I love playing sports, but I also love being an observer of sports. And you can see who can kick it and who can't.
Big time, man. And appreciate the plug. The mental performance coaching program that I am developing right now, it's my little side project, is a 65-page ebook that will be on Amazon soon. And it's also an online coaching program that I'm offering, especially now because I feel like the virtual classroom thing is becoming more or less like virtual training and online training, home training, physical stuff. But I feel like the mental thing is huge. Obviously, that's what we're talking about here. So my online mental performance coaching will be up soon. Stay tuned for that. I will definitely have that out on all of our social media platforms, which our Instagram is Believe Elite Training. Facebook is Believe Elite Athletic Training. Our YouTube is Believe Elite Athletic Training. And you can follow our podcast and listen to our podcast on iTunes, Becoming Elite. Hope you guys are enjoying this stuff. I love talking mindset. I could talk about this stuff all day. Our next one is going to be a real good one. We are going to delve into a number of topics that hopefully help you guys out and hopefully help you during this time, this unique time. So stay positive, keep working hard, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Later.